Yo, what's up fan base, it's your boy Blaze Hollow coming at you again with another what if, and this time I'll be bringing you what if Deku at all for one part 22. Before we get into that, I wanted to let you all know since you all voted to discontinue Monkey King, he will no longer be a part of my channel roster, so that story is discontinued. But do not worry, it will be replaced with something else that I know that you've been all noticing the monthly polls that I've been putting up, so I know what all of you want me to be focusing on. And who knows, maybe one day I'll come back to the story and revamp it and make it a lot better. But for now, we can only look towards the future in this great new year. With all that said, let's start that intro and get into it.
I honestly don't think you can become a hero.
After a few minutes of getting into the building, they stop on the top floor so they can start watching over everything. That's when Ochako was looking out of the window concerned, wondering how they're going to deal with the poison that's mixing with the rain, so she turned to the others hoping for answers. So, what are we going to do now that we have a view of the entire city? Zuko was trying to come up with an idea only to find it very difficult to move with the rain being laced with some kind of poison. Right now, we need to come up with an idea on how we're going to travel throughout the area and figure out what's causing this problem. Titan was scratching his chin for a second as he realized something about the entire situation. You know, it's weird that Shinso was able to pick up on the poison within the rain so fast because it affected him, but when I was out there in my Jaws Titan form, I didn't feel it at all. I just thought it was regular rain. Shinso was coughing a little bit, hoping that the toxin that he breathed in for a few seconds wasn't actually lethal. Well, that's good. Maybe you can go and climbing around a few of the buildings in the area to track down whatever is causing the situation so we can make it stop. Deku realized that Shinso was affected by the poison and quickly summoned Medic. Set up your medical field just in case anybody else is inflicted by the poison. We need to drain it out of our systems before it has a chance to cause any issues. Medic nodded her head as she started to make a green-like dome appear around everybody. All for One would like for you to summon him. He may have a plan to help you out of this situation. Deku was wondering what his predecessor's plan could be and quickly summoned him. What's on your mind, Sensei? All for One walked over to the window as he looked up and down the city streets and then up at the dome-like surface above them. Well, from what I've been able to observe so far, we're dealing with an area effect that's supposed to weaken all of us, but we don't know where the epicenter is. From my knowledge about poison, the further you are from the epicenter, the weaker it is, which will make the poison a lot harder for it to affect the person it's trying to be aimed at. So nodded his head like everything he heard made sense, as he was also very grateful for his quick thinking by using his scarf to avoid the poison. So going off of your analysis so far, we're not even close to where the villain is because my scarf would not have been able to ward off the poison if we were nearby. Judging off of that, we must be on the outer ring of the poison's range. For One gave off a grin, even though it was a little bit hard to see throughout the helmet. Exactly, that's why we need to figure out where the epicenter is. Didn't scratch the top of his head, not really thinking that the plan had to be all that complicated. What if I just transform into one of my larger transformations? That way I can just blow the roof right open. That means we wouldn't have to deal with the rain mixed in with the poison anymore. Zuko saw that his predecessor wasn't saying anything, which means he wanted them to come up with the answer for why that was not a good idea. After a few minutes, Izuku actually was able to figure it out. Rain is actually weighing down the poison. If we get rid of it, it will turn back into its vapor form, which means that even though it will be less toxic, its range will expand exponentially. All for One just nods his head. Exactly, if anything, the dome along with the rain is actually helping contain the poison so it doesn't spread further into the vicinity. Why the villains would do this is beyond me, unless they were planning for you to be here, Izuku. Chako had steam coming out of her ears because she was trying to keep up with everything, even though her thought process wasn't able to keep everything together like everybody else was supposed to. I'm sorry if I'm a little bit out of the loop, but can you slow down a bit? I'm struggling to keep up. I'm not as battle-oriented as all of you. Titan just shrugged his shoulders, realizing that this might happen. To put it in simple words, the poison poison will make your body weaker the closer you get to the person making it, and that the rain and the dome is making it easier to deal with. Choco just blushed a little bit as she realized how simple it was to actually understand. That makes sense. I'm very sorry for interrupting. All for One was very amused and happy to see a new face joining the entire group today. It's fine, young lady. It's understandable that not everybody could understand things so quickly like others. Besides, I'm only here to give pointers, not actually give the answer. Enzo just leaned up against the wall, disappointed to hear that. That sounds exactly like you. You always want to make sure that Izuku is constantly learning, not being dependent on you. For One shrugged his shoulders, knowing that most of the group does not like how he sits on the sidelines unless he is really needed. I've had my time, and if I continue to do everything for all of you, you won't evolve or get better. But I can give one piece of information before I was betrayed and left for dead by the League. I know that they were working on something known as the Nomu Project, which is supposed to be mutated creatures with multiple quirks. So be careful. For all we know, the thing that's causing this entire problem in the area could be a Nomu. Deku was going over the information that he had and realized that one of them is immune to the poison, or at least will take a lot longer to affect that person. And I need you to head out into the city in your Jaws form and start scouting things out. The moment that you spot something that's not us, head right back here. Titan just nodded his head as he started to head towards the staircase to go to the lower floors. What should I do just in case the creature decides to attack me? Izuku looked out the window for a second and saw that they were on a four-way intersection from the building that they were within. Try to lead that creature to the center of that four-way intersection. From here we'll be able to snipe it and give you support. All for One coughed a little bit into his hand, making sure that everybody heard it. No, I've always thought that people that could have the ability to make an army from themselves is actually pretty cool, while also being really handy for situations like these, especially when copies cannot be affected by the terrain or airborne pathogens. Everybody stood still there, confused for a second, trying to figure out what the heck that was supposed to mean, only for Shinso to figure it out. Well, I get why you're bringing this up, so if he was able to send out some of the allies that he can summon, they won't be affected by the poison, so either way we can cover more ground with them. Izuku's eyes widened in realization as he looked over at All For One, seeming to be putting his finger onto his nose, symbolizing that they got the answer right. Okay, let me think on who I should be sending out there. Aiden leaned up against the wall next to the staircase waiting for his team. If I were to make a suggestion, I would pick ones that are the best for scouting, like the one that can use your invisibility, or the one that can turn into liquid, or if you want, even someone like your ghoul core could actually be useful, because he could not only track down the creature but also probably kill it by himself. Deku nods as he summons two people, a female who seems to have transparent body and a man that seems to be made out of water but then turning himself solid. As much of a use letting my ghoul quirk actually run around and do his own thing, it would probably be best for him to stay with me just in case somebody tries to ambush us. As for the both of you, you're going to be going with Titan to scout out the city. Take a section, and the moment that you find that creature, let us all know. Both figures nod as a woman turns invisible, heading down as the man seems to be turning himself into water and going through the window as he heads into the city. After a little bit, Titan goes out the front door as he turns into his Jaws form and starts climbing up the buildings and jumping them as he starts to look for the Nomu. Now, I probably should have asked All For One what this creature technically looks like, but it's too late for that. Hopefully the others have better luck finding this thing. The invisible woman continued to look through the south quadrant of the city, noticing that some of the rain started to turn from a bluish white to a purplish blue. The closer she got towards the center point of the city. Alright, it looks like I'm heading the right way. While the liquefied man kept on seeping through the alleyways, using the raindrops to move faster. As he was heading southwest, he started to notice that the raindrops were turning purplish as he gathered some of them to maybe use later. Definitely appreciate being some kind of copy of myself right now, because if this was the real me, I would have dropped dead long ago. While the rest of the team was waiting in the building, Izuku walked down to one of the lower floors, making sure that he was in the between space of the building, only to be followed by Otaku, who seemed to be curious about what Izuku was doing. What are you doing, Izuku? Wouldn't it be better for all of us to stick together instead of separating into different parts of the building? Izuku placed both his hands on the floor as it started to change from being white tiles to golden tiles as he then turns to face Ochako. Well, I thought that it would be better for me to start changing the building into gold, that way I can freely manipulate it and use it as our own attacking base. Ochako was confused about the premise, only then to remember that during the battle trials that Izuku was able to make a sphere out of gold. Wait, are you telling me that you're actually able to turn entire buildings into actual gold? Izuku sat down on the floor crisscross as he continue to use his hands to turn the entire floor into gold. Yes, I can, but it takes time, and when I had people look over it, it actually is gold that can be resellable, just like finding a gold mine. Ochako had dollar signs appear in her eyes as she was completely surprised, realizing that this whole building is going to be worth so much more once Izuku is done with it. Can't believe it, so you basically can just pick anything up and turn it into resellable gold. Izuku shrugged his shoulders, not really seeing it as a big deal. Yeah, the only annoying part about it is that it takes time to turn something this big into the actual substance. Ochako starts to think to herself as she survived this along with Izuku that she needs to make a move on him to take him away from Mina so she can use his power to help her family. That's pretty cool. How long do you think we're going to have before the scouting group gets back and you're going to be finished changing the building? Izuku took a few minutes to answer that question as half of the room started to be turned into gold as he finally had an answer on how long it will take him. Turning the entire building from gold to the ground up was actually going to take me about 20 minutes to finish. As for the scouting team, I have no idea. They could be back at any minute now, or they could be taking so much longer. It all depends on how tricky and crafty the creature we're after is. Ochako just nodded her head as she walked over to where Izuku was and sat down right next to him. I hope you don't mind if I keep you company. Izuku was starting to get a little bit annoyed knowing that he has to split his concentration between changing the building and talking to Ochako. Actually, I would appreciate it if you would go back up to the upper floors and help out the others, at least by keeping an eye out. I need to concentrate on what I'm doing. Ochako was upset that she was basically being dismissed. As she got up and heading towards the staircase, she made sure to sway her hips as she did not want to start an issue with Izuku. Alright, I'll see what the others might need me for. As we cut to the top floor of the building, we see All For One along with Shinso and Medic keeping an eye out for anything that might be coming their way. Shinso looked over at All For One. Oh, All For One, what do you think the likelihood of us getting out of this alive is? For One continued to look down at the street, keeping an eye out for any sudden movements that might happen. I would say very high. We have a good scouting team out there, plus the building is being changed into our very own mobile fortress. Plus we have really good versatility waiting in the wings just in case that creature comes to attack us head on. Medic puffed out her cheeks, realizing that she was not being brought up in this conversation for her medical expertise in being able to heal people. You also forgot to tell the boy that we have a doctor just in case anybody gets infected by the poison. All For One puts his hands out defensively, not wanting to anger the woman at all. Of course, let's not start anything over such small details now, shall we? Medic was getting ready to say something when she heard footsteps from the staircase, only to then notice Ochako standing there. It's good to see that you're here to help out with the rest of us, Rookie. What were you trying to do, snuggle up to the boss behind everybody's back? Ochako blushed a little bit and felt also offended at the same time, but even though it was true. No, I just wanted to make sure that he was safe. We never know what could happen. Best to stay together, but he told me to come back up here with the rest of you. Enso took his eyes off the street for a second as he looked over at Ochako. Of everyone here, he is the most protected. If you haven't noticed, if anything happens to the physical bodies of All For One, Medic, and the other two out there, they'll just be sent straight back to Izuku. Oh, he always has an army with him, plus he always keeps his best quirks on him at all time. Ochako hung her head low, realizing that she's probably the most useless one out of everyone because she doesn't have any experience with this type of situation. Sorry, I'm not trying to be a bother, I just want to help the best I can. I'm not like the rest of you. All For One noticed that the mood was starting to get sour, and he wanted it to stop before certain things could be said that could not be taken back. It's probably best that we all focus on the windows and keeping an eye out for any projectiles or things that could be thrown towards the building without us even realizing it. Just at that moment, a loud screeching noise could be heard throughout the city as everybody started to panic a little bit, thinking that the creature is about to make itself known even though they haven't been able to find it yet. Just then, one of the windows seemed to be shot with some kind of red-like bullet going right through Medic, causing her body to poof. Enso dropped down onto the ground out of the line of sight of the window. Everybody quickly hit the deck. Everybody was getting out of line of sight of the window as they noticed that the floor that they were standing on was slowly turning into gold and the broken window was being covered by a gold-like plate. That way it could not be shot through again as the screeching continued to happen outside. As we cut down to the streets with the search party, unfortunately the one that found the Nomu first was the invisible woman who was freaking out as she was seeing a deep purplish cloud of mist around it. How the hell am I supposed to get away from this thing? It seems like it's heading towards the building without even knowing where everybody is. Nomu stopped screeching as it turned its head to look directly at where the invisible woman was as a scorpion-like tail appeared out of the purple mist pointing right at her. I can see you. The invisible woman started to run down the alleyway as quickly quickly as possible, not wanting to show her true form. Holy crap, that thing can think and speak? Within a second, the Nomu shot a bullet-like substance out of his scorpion tail as it went right through the invisible woman's chest, causing her body to dissipate, while also, when she arrived back at Izuku, causing him to flinch a little bit because of her voice screaming in his head. What happened? Why are you screaming? You scared the crap out of me when you came back. The invisible woman was terrified from what she just experienced. You need to call back the others. Izuku was confused, wondering why she was so terrified. Okay, I need you to calm down. I understand that you don't like it when you get destroyed out there, but I need you to explain yourself so I can help out with the situation, Yoshi. A woman known as Yoshi took a few deep breaths within the mindscape as she started to gather her thoughts. I don't know how to put it into proper words, but the poison that he is using is very effective, and he's covered himself in a fine of mist. But it was weird, it seemed to have a tail that looked similar to a scorpion before it killed me. But before I died, it looked directly at me while I was screaming and said that it could see me even though I was invisible. Izuku did not like knowing that this creature actually had some form of intelligence, which made this entire operation even more risky to handle. Alright, thanks for the update. I'm almost done with the building and I'll let the others know, so get some rest and try to calm down your nerves. Yoshi just let her consciousness fuse back into the Vestige world. Thank you for understanding and know that my power is at your disposal whenever you need it. Izuku could feel that his work was done as he finally stood up and went back to the top of the building, seeing that everybody was crouched down on the floor, especially after getting the message about Medic being shot through the chest, though he kept his head low, barely coming up over the staircase as Shinso noticed him. I'm going to assume that you already know this, Izuku, but that creature has some kind of sniping ability. All for One pokes a piece of his helmet out towards the window, trying to see if he can pinpoint where the creature is, or at least maybe some kind of idea of where the bullet came from. I don't know how, but our entire situation has been compromised quicker than I expected. Izuku did not like what he was hearing. It gets worse. Apparently, thanks to Yoshi, I now know that that creature actually has intelligence. We're not dealing with a dumb creature, we're dealing with a predator hunting its prey. Chaco was starting to get scared, seeing how everybody else was getting so tense. If we are in danger from our position, doesn't that mean that Titan's in even more danger since he doesn't know any of this information? Cut over to where Titan has finally gotten a good vantage point where he can see the Noma and decides to get closer, only for him to get within 30 feet of the creature and then get shot in the head, while lucky for him the bullet bounces off of the skeletal armor, nevertheless stopping him in his tracks as he was looking down at his target from the rooftop, seeing red eyes poke out of the purple mist. I have to admit that was very clever trick, being able to detect me and then shoot me with one of your bullets. I'm gonna put you down, you stupid creature, before you can cause any more harm to my group. Nomu didn't say anything for a few seconds, only for a grunting noise could be heard as it seemed to be struggling to speak. Not stupid. My name is Toxic. Titan wasn't expecting the creature to be able to talk as he jumped down off of the building to get street level, and proceeding to bang both of his hands together down onto the street, causing a wind pressure to blow throughout the alleyway, making the mist that was covering his opponent disappear. Well then, Toxin, my name is Titan and I'm going to knock you out so you can no longer make any of this poison rain. Toxic reveals to have purple skin with black dots going along his veins, showing a grid-like pattern, along with black scalia and purple pupils. While his teeth look like razor-sharp blades that can cut through anything, and on his back he had black-like wings with a scorpion tail that seemed to be dripping purple-like poison off of it. And its legs, instead of having a black pattern around where the veins would be, they were red with black dots as his claws came out of its toes. Can't lose here. Must find All for One allies and successor. Titan was completely creeped out by this thing's appearance. Well, I'm not gonna let you get anywhere near the boss. If you want to get to him, you gotta go through me. Toxic started to realize that he found one of his targets, letting out a Beasley-like roar as he started to scatter out more of his poison as it goes from being purple to straight up black. Then you shall die, ally of All for One. Titan takes a step back a little bit, intimidated by the scream and by the toxic mist that was coming off of the creature. I told you before, my name is Titan and I will not let you pass, so come at me. Both of them ran towards each other, meeting themselves fist for fist, so even though there was a size difference, it did not matter between the both of them, as both of them impact with each other, holding the same amount of strength, which made the raindrops trickle away from them with each blow that they threw at each other. As we go up a little bit on one of the buildings, we can see a man partially still liquefied watching the battle. Damn it, Titan, you weren't supposed to engage if you found the creature. You were supposed to head back to the others. You always have trouble following orders. As he jumps down from the building, landing on the back of the creature. Hey there, ugly. Mind if I cut in? Toxic didn't even turn around to look at the man, using his scorpion tail to pierce right through him, only for him to hit water. You annoy me. Leave or die. I didn't recognize the man that came to help him. Good to see that you made it, Ranto. Ranto was annoyed as he leaped off the creature, not wanting to continue to dodge its tail. You're straying off from the plan. We need to start heading back now. Toxic started to realize that the man was an ally of his enemy. You're going nowhere except to my toxic hell. Titan was completely caught off guard. Wait, did that thing just seriously make a pun? That's where I'm gonna leave it off this time, guys. I'm sorry if this came a little bit late in the month and it's kind of last minute, but I was sick last week so I couldn't get it recorded. But with all that said, I'm out this time, guys. Bye.